So this is a demo video on demonstrating the CSR Qualcomm Technologies Inc. True Wireless Stereo, also known as TWS, where we take two separate CSR 8670 Bluetooth audio chips and we actually get them both to play a true stereo um, application from one single Bluetooth phone. So we will have a left speaker and a right speaker, and they will both be synchronized to one stream from a phone. And so basically how it works is the phone connects to one of these boards, which would also be known as the peer master or TWS master. And the TWS master then relays the audio from that it's receiving from the phone to the TWS slave or the peer device. Um, and from the phone's point of view, it's not streaming it to both boards, it's actually streaming it to the master board, in which I'm dedicating this board. On my left here is my TWS master, and this one is my TWS slave. So the audio is being streamed from the phone to the TWS master, and then the master is then forwarding the audio packets it receives from and forwarding the other channel. For this application, I'm defaulting it to the right channel to send it to the slave, and but the audio packets will be time stamped, so when they decode the left channel here and the right channel here, they will be synchronized um, with the stereo stream. So I'm going to go ahead and label this board as my TWS master and this board is my TWS slave, and you make sure you do this and keep track of which board is the master and which board is the slave. It's important as we go through this demonstration and how to compile the code and how do we set the configuration between these two boards. So after you have labeled your two 8670 dev boards, one of them as a TWS master and the other one as a TWS slave, what you will want to do is make note again of the Bluetooth addresses of each board and the crystal frequency trim. So I am now plugging in the SPI cable to my TWS master board, and I will use PS Tool in the ADK4.0 to verify the Bluetooth address in my TWS master. This one ends in 001FF4, and again I will make note of that and write that down, and again do not forget to make note of the crystal frequency trim offset. Mine is 0. I accidentally deleted them and I do not know my original values, but you should make note of these if your board has values in there. So again, this one is 001FF4 for my TWS master, and I am now unplugging the SPI cable and plugging it into my TWS slave and launching PS Tool again, and see my Bluetooth address here is 001FF5. And then again on the TWS slave, make note of the crystal frequency trim and write it down. The reason why we are making note of the Bluetooth address and the crystal frequency trim is I like to flash erase all of the persistent store or the PS keys on my boards when I start a new project. That removes any paired devices in the paired device list. And how I like to flash erase the PS keys is I like to use the Blue Flash tool. So I will plug my Ethernet cable back into my TWS master board, and I will use Blue Flash. I will stop the processor, click the flash erase button, and select erase persistent store, and I click OK. I will say yes to erasing all the persistent store settings, and after erasing the persistent store, go ahead and click Start Processor. You should see a green light blinking hopefully on your board showing it's still alive when you click Start Processor. And then while you're still connected to the TWS master board, go ahead and launch PS Tool again and select File, Merge, and you'll want to select the Sync System CSR 8670. If you have watched my headset video, this is the default PS keys for the 8670 chip. So we will merge that file. And then since I erased the Bluetooth address as well, it changed the value. So I remember that this is my TWS master. And so this is 001FF4 is my master. And then whatever frequency, crystal frequency trim that you have written before, make note of it here. Oh, I'm sorry, I needed to do a warm reset. So after I edit that, I click set, and then I'll do a reset and close. Now, I'm disconnecting my TWS master from the SPI cable and now reconnecting the TWS slave. And I will use Blue Flash again. Stop the processor, flash erase, erase persistent store, OK, and yes. Start processor, and you should have a glowing, blinking green LED on your board. And now I'm on my TWS master board. I will launch PS Tool. Click Merge, File, Merge the Sync System CSR 8670 PSR file, open, and then edit this to 0011F5 because this is my slave board. And then again, enter in your crystal frequency trim that you've noted for your slave board. And then do a reset and close. And now what we have successfully done is erased any paired devices, any residual persistent store settings from any examples that you have or may have compiled and downloaded onto these boards previously. This demo is easiest when everything is done from scratch, when you have not had any previous paired devices or any VM persistent store settings on the board. So I will unplug my cable and plug it back into the master, as I would like to start with the master first in this demo. I will then launch the ADK4.0 IDE. Then we will go to Project, Open Workspace. We are going to select the speaker project. The TWS example is built into the speaker project and not in the headset. So in my other video, I showed compiling and downloading the headset application. In this video, for the TWS True Wireless Stereo, we will need to use the speaker project. So I will select the speaker project. Now, there is some settings we need to change here to enable TWS in the application code example. So please highlight Kalimba here and do a right click and set as active project. Oh, set as active project, not remove. And then go to build configuration and make sure TWS is selected here. You could also do properties and select TWS as active here and click OK. But the easiest thing is to go to build configurations in TWS mode. Click back on the VM speaker here, right click it, set as active project, build configuration, and make sure it states speaker with TWS. What you can do here is go back to Kalimba, set as active project, and do a build active project. It probably has nothing to build. So what we'll do here, it may build for you, but go back to the main VM speaker and set this as active project and do a build active project. I think I've built this before, so it's now rebuilding the application. And you only need to do this once for both boards. So it's still compiling. Now, when it's done compiling, you will see a finished here. Okay, it's done compiling. Then what we'll do to program the TWS master board, again, we're connected to the TWS master board. We will click debug and run. And we're burning the image. We're downloading the application to this CSR 8670 board, which is labeled as my TWS master. Takes a minute here. Resetting, building the debug information, and we're good to go. Now, once it's done burning the image and loading, you get this screen here. Go ahead and go to debug, stop debugging, and you'll get the more information about burning the image and so forth. So what we can do is we can minimize this, still connected to the TWS master board. We will use PS tool again. I'm sorry, not PS tool. We will use the tools sync configuration tool. We want to start from an existing configuration, yes. So if you have seen my headset video, we've done this procedure before, and we chose the headset gaming for the CNS 10001 V4 PSR file. But since we're building the speaker with TWS, we will select the speaker with TWS CNS 10001 V4 PSR file. We will open this file. We will then select the USB device that the TWS master board is connected to. And here we can then, let's change this to TWS master. And what we need to do is add some user tones because the default application does not add the tones when we're pairing the TWS master with the TWS slave. So what we would like to do is go to user interface, tones, event tones, and scroll down and click here to add an event to generate a tone. Now we want to generate a tone when we put the TWS master into what we call the peer inquiry mode. So go ahead and look for peer session inquire. This is what the master performs. It inquires the slave board and choose a tone. I like to choose the ringtone Twilight. So when we enter this peer session inquire as a master, this Twilight ringtone will be played through the speaker. Go ahead and now write to device. And now we have written all this PSR file and added this tone to the TWS master, and we've added the friendly name TWS master, and go ahead and click reset device. Go ahead and close. Now disconnect your TWS master board from the SPI cable, and now connect your TWS slave board to the SPI cable. And we do it all over again. Now we go back to the ADK tool, and all we need to do is click debug and run. What this will do is it'll program the exact same application into your TWS slave board. And that's okay because this single application can support both master and slave. What we are doing is programming the application now into the slave board. So we're burning the image here again. Alright, so now we can stop the debugger. Stop debugging. Minimize that. Now we will use the ADK sync configuration tool. And yes, we want to load again from an existing configuration. We will choose the speaker with TWS, the CNS board file. Click open. And since this is the slave board, I will like to call it TWS slave. And we also need to add the tone for when we put the TWS slave into a peer session. And this time we will choose peer session connection discovery. So this is the slave device. And I will choose a different tone. I will choose Valkyrie instead of Twilight, because Twilight is what I chose the master board. And let's go ahead and program the slave board. We'll select the USB to SPI, and we will write to the slave board that is connected. And go ahead and reset the device. So now we have just programmed both the TWS master board with the application, and we use the sync configuration tool to make the modifications, and now you should be able to connect the two boards together and also pair a Bluetooth phone. So we just finished downloading the TWS stereo speaker application to both of these boards. This is my TWS master and this is my TWS slave, and for this demo I've connected the output to the speaker on both ends, so you can actually hear a left and a right synchronized. Hopefully it'll turn out well in this video. So after programming in the prior steps, what we'll do is we'll power up the TWS master and pair it with a Bluetooth phone, and then after pairing the master to the phone, then we will join the slave to the stereo network, I guess you want to call it, and then we will be synchronized for a left and a right true wireless stereo demo. So I'll power up the master. The power button is by holding the VREG button here, labeled VREG, for a couple of seconds. Since this is a fresh install, it has not been paired with any other device. So I'll go ahead and do that now by holding it.
Power on.
And you will see the lights blink alternate blue and green. I will pair my phone here. I'll tell it to do a scan. And there it shows up as a TWS master.
Successful. Speakers connected.
And so my Bluetooth phone is now connected to the TWS master. Now, we don't want to do anything yet and stream music yet, because we will want to sync up the master with the slave. So we'll power up the slave by holding down the VREG button as well till you hear a power on.
Power on.
And now we will need to put it in the slave peer mode. And how to do that is you hold the VREG button and PIO 12. This is PIO 12 here, this button. We will hold them down for about 2 seconds until you hear the Valkyrie ringtone. Remember, we use the sync configuration file to play that tone when we enter that mode. Hold these two down. That was the Valkyrie ringtone. And we'll go back to the master and put it into the peer master mode that will look for the slave. And to do that, we will hold down the VREG button and PIO 10, these two buttons here, for 2 seconds, and you should hear the Twilight ringtone. And that's because we used the sync configuration file. Oh, that was quick. When the master has successfully synced up with the slave, you will hear the successful from both speakers here. So now we should be able to play music. Through my Pandora. Alright, so let me go ahead and move the phone over to, you should hear that speaker. And you should hear this speaker. They're both in sync. I can turn up the volume here. Again, this is a true left and a true right.
We took it all apart, but I'm wishing I'd stay.
Now the nice thing, the really neat thing is that if you power either of these boards down, it'll power the other speaker off as well. So if I power this board down by holding the B bridge,
Power off.
it powers both speakers down. Now, when you power one of these on, in particular this one, and you power this one on later, they still should sync up. So I'm going to play music here.
Are we ever gonna feel the same?
So that's from my phone, so I'll power up this board.
Power on.
It should automatically connect to my phone
Speakers
here.
connected.
So that means it just connected to my smartphone again, but I'm gonna power up this board,
Power on.
and in the background they should sync up fairly quickly. So I'll play music again here. Yes, so they're still synced up. So again,
Someone had to draw a line. We'll be coming back for you one day. We'll be coming back for you one day.
all right. So that's the TWS demo. Again, the TWS master and the TWS slave. I'll power it off from this board,
Power off.
and it powers both off. All right, thank you.